Just waiting for Jim and Joe to give me some good news. It's 8 o'clock. Where are you guys? Waiting for my good news. Get your fat ass online already.
We don't normally get this kind of action.
It's for us. It's just
exciting.
us. This is the way our stream is.
Oh, dear. It's because you guys are here.
It was a legitimate call. It made sense. It was pass interference. I don't care what anybody says.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
You call runs when you're not supposed to, and Dak Prescott is throwing it in the dirt.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Nodos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the No Show. We're ready to go. Talking about draft. We're talking about the 2018 NFL draft. We're going to review that draft because a lot of guys want to jump the gun and say, oh, well, last year's draft, that was pretty bad. I mean, look at what they took, and we didn't really see an impact on the field. You can't draft, or you can't rate or grade a draft based off 1 year of production from these rookies or 2 years off of what they've done in their short careers. So we got to take it back for 3 years. That's a good point. After you get 3 years into the league, now you can start to really kind of grade these players and see where they might be trending towards.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because, too, everybody's talking about the quarterback and who is going to grab a quarterback this year and how's it panning out.
Yeah, right?
We're taking a look back, peeling them back at 2018, where that was a really big draft class for quarterbacks. Who was taking who? There at times in the beginning, we heard that Cleveland was all in on Sam Darnold. They had him there with the family for the visit, stuff like that. Lo and behold, hours before the opening night of the draft on that Thursday, you started to hear from Adam Schefter that is going to be Baker Mayfield, and the whole internet was about to explode. And what do you know? They go for it. So we get to take a look back at it. You guys come along with us. Don't forget to share the video, like, post, and comment as well. Whatever you guys want to talk about as well. And you have something else you want as questions that's burning on your mind, bring it onto us too as well.
Absolutely. And then also I want to do real quick. We got a few shout outs here. We already got guys tuning in. Glor Finito, welcome to the show. Isaiah Everett, Dave Rourke, Zachary Dooley, Adam Swizerski. I don't know if I butchered your last name or not, but I apologize.
That's awesome. But there you go. We got the DJ horn. There you go. It happens. Yeah, we butcher names a few times. I do it as well. But yeah, I mean, this upcoming draft's going to be pretty exciting. But let's take a look. What we're going to do now is we are going to play the NFL 2018 draft pass or fail. That's right. So let's start off with the first one, Joe, and everybody knows the way we just said it here. The Cleveland Browns, they go and draft Baker Mayfield in that draft. So what do you think about Cleveland now? And Baker, it seemed like his first season, he started out pretty explosive. You had Freddie Kitchens ended up getting him a coaching job, head coaching job because of it, and then instantly, just as quickly, got him fired. And then everybody's questioning in the next couple of seasons, why is Baker not playing as well? Well, a lot of it was offensive line too struggles. If you don't get protection, you're running around, you're not going to be as accurate too as well and have problems, because that's what people saw. You had all these weapons that Cleveland was just stockpiling all around you, and why aren't you able to get this done here, especially with a defense that was playing pretty well as well?
Yeah, and for the pick where he was taken, number 1 overall, that holds a lot of weight for any rookie that's selected there. So he had to come out and he had to basically show everybody and try to prove a lot of people wrong. There was a lot of doubters in 2018 when he came out, and any quarterback for that matter. There was always pros and cons to everybody. You even look at Sam Darnold that year when he got drafted. He got drafted pretty high, probably 3rd overall with the Jets. And a lot of people had issues with him coming out of college out of USC. They thought that he threw picks too much in college and turned the ball over. And Baker Mayfield, he was no exception. He had a different kind of path, though. He had a little bit more of a rougher road. off the field was more of a party guy, was into that party scene in college heavily, and kind of it almost derailed his potential of being selected number 1 overall. It was in question. But nonetheless, I mean, now we got a few years in with Baker. His first year, yeah, there were some ups and there were some downs. There were some exciting highlights that he made. But again, when he first got there, all he really had was Jarvis Landry at his disposal. Didn't have Odell yet his first year, and that team was still had too many holes on offense. You bring up the offensive line, which was like Swiss cheese. It was terrible. And as we progress now 3 years later, he's had some ups and downs, obviously. You know, he still made some mistakes along the way, but a lot of people will say, and I was one of them, that like, hey, listen, you can't really judge him yet until you fill in those holes on offense, create a stronger offensive line, give him more weapons, then you can criticize him if he still fails. So now we're noticing that the Browns in their offense, now with all these weapons that they have, and I'll even say minus Odell, like last year, minus Odell, they still flourished offensively. You know, especially when you got Kareem Hunt in the backfield with Nick Chubb and that offensive line that's revamped. I mean, they have a legit offense, and Baker Mayfield looks like he may be getting the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this one, I'm definitely going to give the Cleveland Browns a right buzzer here for this one. I think they pass on this one just because, I mean, again, you can debate maybe, again, is he worth it at number 1 overall, things like that. We've seen a lot of number 1 overall picks. I mean, Jameis Winston right now is the backup, potentially maybe starter for the Saints, you know, if he wins that job.
Yeah, he looks like he'll be the starter.
Yeah, so, I mean, and people are still kind of questioning him now, you know. So, and then right after that, you had Marcus Mariota right there, too, who is currently a backup for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's apples and oranges, and
I mean,
I always looked at it this way too. He's a starter. He's definitely good enough to play well for your team and lead your team. I think Hall of Fame status, stuff like that. That's gonna find its way. You know, I mean, you don't need to try to put that on these guys already.
Yeah. And here's the thing: is I almost want to say fail for me because of where Baker was taken. You think about first overall pick. And by no means was it like a clear-cut decision where, like, you see, like, as you get closer to the draft, a lot of teams are like, oh, this quarterback is definitely better than the rest. You know what I mean? There was none of that in this year's in 2018's draft. There was a lot of mixed feelings, a lot of pros and cons from every quarterback, a lot of some scouts like this guy better, some scouts and teams like that guy better. It was all over the board. You also got to look at Josh Allen was in this draft class. He got picked 7th overall. So I mean, if you're now hindsight's 2020, and that we already know now, like how all these guys have kind of shaken up. You could make the argument like, hey, for that number 1 pick, Baker Mayfield. I mean, if you could have traded down and got Josh Allen, would that have been a better move? I think it might have been a better move. I mean, I just don't know. Picking a guy number 1 overall, you got to make sure that is the right guy for your team. And if there's any kind of hiccups along the way, you're still going to be kind of criticized for taking him number 1 overall when you have guys that are starting to like really ascend, like a Josh Allen.
No, I hear you there. I mean, that's why we're debating this right now, and that's why you talk about it. Because even some of these guys, there's more left to be said. We're still going to even find out what happens this particular season and where these teams are going to fall with some of these guys. You know, some of their 5th-year options weren't picked up and things like that. Things like, you know, their future is not set right now. And so.
We'll get to it as we get closer to the bottom of the draft. But there's another quarterback. Where, oh my God.
So we're getting into it. So you're going with the loser on that one, Joe?
Yeah, I think he's going to say fail. I'm going to say fail just because. Think about it. Number 1 overall. You better make sure that quarterback is going to flourish right away. You know what I mean? And I don't think the Cleveland Browns helped Baker Mayfield out early enough to give him a pass on that one.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so now it's moving on to the New York Football Giants who come in with the pick at number 2, and they go with Saquon Barkley here now. And again, you want to talk about a guy who was after, especially his the combine and things like that, the things that he put out, you get to see the physique that he has, but the numbers he was doing. And a lot of questions here. Were the Giants going to go? We were hearing Josh Rosen. Were they going to go quarterback? They decided to go running back. And even after that season, with struggles with the team, people looking at Eli, maybe they even made mistakes trying to put the parallels together. Maybe they should have went quarterback. They were out there. Maybe they're going to pay for this. And he exploded onto the scene in that particular season. But then even during that season, they had a little better, I think, offensive line at that point than what they had now. It seems like right after that, it even crumbled a little bit. They lost some of the guys. Weston Richburg went to the 49ers, and a few of those other guys split apart from what the team was. And that's why they ended up drafting even Will Hernandez in this draft in the second round to help fill in some of those spots. But Saquon, since then, he's kind of riddled with injuries now, despite the physique and all that. You know what kind of explosive plays he can make. We saw it. The explosion when he gets into open field, it's electric. But since then, again, injuries. And again, that can be a test to where's this offensive line. Last year, the first couple of weeks, when they tried to run it, when you knew that's what all they could do, he got stuffed, and that's where the injuries end up happening here. So what do we expect of Saquon here, and what kind of grade do you give a guy that hasn't really seen a lot of the field?
I mean, and that's the thing. It's this past year, he missed the whole entire season, right? So, and then the year prior, he missed I want to say half the year or something like that.
Something like that. It was definitely a few weeks, at least 6 weeks.
But his rookie year, you just – when he's healthy, and that's
so you know what could have been,
and that's right, and that's the biggest thing is it's not like we're still scratching our heads questioning the draft pick. You know what I mean? Saying, well, I mean, you got to remember in 2018, leading up to this draft, a lot of people had Saquon Barkley number 1 overall as a prospect. He was the number 1 rated college player to take. For me, he was right up there. He would have been 1 or 2. I had Quentin Nelson, the guard, coming out of Jesus, I'm going to forget where he came from. Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, yes.
He coming out of Notre Dame. I had actually him as my number 1 and Barkley number 2 because offensive line is super important in the NFL. And if you don't have even if you have an elite or above average type of lineman, it goes a long way for your team. So I had him rated in the 1 or 2 spot, anyway. But Barkley, very impressive athlete, very impressive runner. I mean, he has phenomenal vision, great balance. He breaks tackles, and this is all being said when he's healthy. But, yeah, the injury bug has bitten him the last couple of seasons. It's kind of derailed his progression, his development. And let's see this year, coming back to the Giants, he will be healthy yet again. Can he maintain that health and get rid of that label, of being a heavily injured player? But for the pick, for number 2 overall, coming into 2018 now, knowing what we know now, it has to be a fail. Almost. Ooh. It's got to be a fail almost not because of where the Giants took him, right? But we're great. I mean, I'm kind of going along with overall. Have you been on the field? Have you been productive? Have you helped the team out? And so far, Barkley hasn't done enough to help them out. He's been more injured than he has been on the football field to help them. And because of that is the reason why I'm going to get it a failing grade. When
fail me again.
Picking 2 overall, they could have taken a guy like Quentin Nelson and kind of just had the guy for the next 10, 12 years on the offensive line, a Pro Bowl type of guard. So, yeah, I'm going to give it
I think I've kind of fell into that as well as, that's what you think of this guy. Because maybe we didn't see him all last
He's amazing,
season.
Don't get me wrong.
And if you I'm looking back even at the stats, he only missed 3 games in 2019.
Okay.
But still, despite that, he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons still.
Right.
So, I mean, that's still production.
Yeah, it is.
So, again, what it is the injury bug. Maybe we're claiming just because back-to-back injuries later on in the season, and now all season just about. He only played 2 games, the first 2 games this season.
Right.
So, you didn't see a lot. So, I think a lot of people are just afraid, is this what we're getting out of this guy? Is it going to be this? Because when he's out there, again, despite the poor offensive line play, he was productive. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and he
yeah,
was able to
definitely
do
was.
that. I mean, we
'Cause-
were even looking at him, up in the conversation of leading the NFL in rushing stats.
Could be,
you
yeah.
know?
Yep.
And still even an all-around player, too, being able to be almost the only weapon to, if when he was in trouble, either Daniel Jones or Eli when he was there, to dish it down to Saquon to make a play for them when nobody was getting open.
Right.
So I think that's why there's still a question mark with them this season, and what is it going to entail for the Giants, because the weapons that they have added so far this offseason, and now the question is, with a healthy Saquon Barkley, what will this team be? Are they a contender for the division? Will they make the playoffs now with what they have here? So I think that question looms around just because of that, the injury last year and then 2 seasons ago. But I would still have to say that it's a pass for me again. Maybe I'm just being very
I mean, for
nice
me,
for everybody.
I mean, the other
But
thing
again,
too,
because
for
I
me-
think I know what you're saying.
No, here's the other
But-
thing though too is running back isn't that highly valued.
Right. No, I hear you.
And I just think that taking a running back that high, you better make sure he's on the field all the time.
Right,
And he's
right.
he's a big part of your offense, because when you take a guy that high, they have to be. They just have to be so heavily involved because you took them there. You're basically pushing the chips into the center of the table saying, this is our guy. And not only do we believe in him, he's going to definitely help us carry this team.
Right. I mean, the only other thing I would have said better, because, I'm on the same wavelength as you. Like, I look at needs and what we need maybe to help out the team. I don't think running back was exactly a need there. I mean, we needed, I guess, one. But like you said, not really like,
But
first, second
the
pick,
thing
you
with
don't
the
go
draft for me more than anything is not really need. It's more like impact player. That's
Right.
what I look for. So wherever you're picking, whether it be 21st, 3rd, dead last at 32, you should always be looking for the best player there.
Right.
It should not be, we do have a need at safety.
Yeah, no,
so,
I hear you there. I don't
you know
mean
what I
like picking that, but maybe I was trying to loop in the whole fact that we were both thinking Quentin Nelson, because
Right.
again,
And
they
that's the
needed
thing.
help on offensive line.
Right.
He was the best offensive lineman there.
That's
you
what
could
I'm
have went
saying.
and picked him early. I'm
Yep.
about building that solid frame there.
Yeah.
And the game is won in the trenches, and then the other players that you have around there complement that, and you can make things work. We've seen it with the Patriots time and time again. One thing that you always notice about them is they had a pretty solid offensive line, and those guys were able to keep Tom Brady standing up and protected for so long that he pretty much could do what he wanted to. So that's a major factor there, and I understand you're there too. It's just I don't know. I think he's a great player that pans out.
Definitely.
But again, I hope it works out for them to move forward. But I totally hear where you're coming from as well, because we know the lifespan or the career span of a running back here. It's very short, especially if you end up piling up these injuries.
Right.
So what do we have at the third round, the third overall pick, Joe?
It's the Jets, man.
The
It's
Jets.
Sam Darnold gets taken
here. Oh man. So Sam Darnold again. That is an interesting story now for
Let's
them,
talk
because
about this.
we had. Everybody's still having a conversation. What is Sam Darnold? See, that's the thing with this. 3 years later, a lot of people don't know. People who hated it on him before still hate him now. People that supported him before are still kind of supporting him now and think he just needed a new change of scenery, which he now has over there in Carolina.
Good for you, Sam. That's
So
all I'm gonna say.
absolutely. So now he's reunited with Robbie Anderson
Right.
now. So I mean, are they going to be able to work together? In a nice
definitely.
1-2 tandem there.
Definitely.
And
DJ
reunite
Moore.
there. It happened. So he's getting the weapons
McCaffrey.
now that he needed, right? That they thought the Jets were going to do.
And a
when
better
they grabbed
offensive line.
Everybody.
I mean, think about it. It's just a way better offense that he's going to have control over. I mean, Matt Rule as his head coach, a guy that's came from college and had. I mean, I'm actually kind of blown away how much success that he had his first year as a head coach. But kudos to Matt Rule. I mean, he's had everybody dialed in. They all bought in, and they played their hearts out all season long. And the team was competitive week to week. So adding Sam Darnold, a quarterback that can be more disciplined, I guess, for them, a guy that can still make all the throws and accurate. And just think, I mean, later, this past season, when Darnold got his weapons back, right, got his receivers, his Brashad Perryman, Jamison Crowder was still there, and then the rookie Denzel Mims, when he had all his weapons, they actually not only were just competitive, but they won a couple of games. They stole a couple of games in the end. So, I mean, now you're giving Darnold a better weaponry, to throw to. You gave him Christian frickin' McCaffrey as a running back and a better offensive line. You can't think anything else but going up from here. I'm sorry, but Sam Darnold, I really believe that the right way for the Jets was to stay with Sam Darnold, who's only 23 years old, everybody. Only 23 years old still. So I think that this is great for Sam Darnold. But the Jets, I feel that Joe Douglas and the Jets have made a tremendous and huge mistake on trading him away, and now you have to start over from scratch. Now if it is Zach Wilson that you do draft, guess what? He's going to come in fresh, young, and everything, right? He's got to learn this offense. He's got to get chemistry with the guys. He's got to get situated, and the NFL is a fast game to play. So coming from college to pros, it's going to be a big difference. And struggles are going to happen this first year. It's almost a definite. Look at Peyton Manning, one of the greatest. His first year was absolutely atrocious. He threw double-digit interceptions and single-digit touchdowns. So, I mean, I feel like that's going to be the same thing. And instead of building around Darnold, which is what they should have been doing, and then going and reinventing this defense and making your team competitive in the AFC East, which pretty darn soon, that division's going to be pretty tough. So I just think the Jets went a wrong direction with this whole situation. And Joe Douglas, your job is marked. I'm just going to say that.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Maybe. I don't know. But time and time again, I mean, I heard a crazy stat with the Jets. I think it was today or yesterday.
It was about the draft picks?
It's about the draft picks, yeah. It was about the
Joe Douglas has traded away every first-rounder he's had. The last 6 years.
Wow. I mean, not even hear that one, but pretty much even the Jets, same thing.
Right. So after Darnold got officially traded, that's 6 years in a row he's traded away his first-rounders.
Well, then he seems like he fits the Jets perfectly because the Jets, again, only have like 4 Hall of Famers, first of all. And then as far as first-round picks, they haven't kept a first-round pick since Darrelle Revis. You know what I mean? So, I mean, think of that.
Revis was amazing.
Yeah, I know he was an amazing player for them and things, but when you think that far back, though, that they haven't kept anybody that far, you know, that's a problem. You know, when you have to keep moving them.
Right, and that's this whole offseason, I thought when they made the decision to fire Adam Gase, you know what I mean? I thought they were going to just start clean slate. They're going to fire Joe Douglas. They're going to because think about it.
Well, he was his guy, yeah.
What has Joe Douglas done in the war room in terms of drafting? He really hasn't built this team via draft or free agency. He's added a lot of splash players in free agency, but none of them have really done anything so far. C.J. Mosley comes to mind as one of the biggest names he ever signed, and he was out last year.
Yeah, he didn't even really play.
He didn't play. He opted out, right? Or was he injured?
He was injured the first year. Then he opted out.
Yep, so he hasn't played in 2 years.
No, he hasn't. No, he didn't want to play. You know, and that's the thing. And you ended up having a toxic environment where nobody wanted to stay around and play for them anymore. I mean, Jamal Adams gone. You know, and he will be, I guess, acknowledged for making that trade and getting things for Jamal with Seattle. But what are you going to do with it? You know, what are you going to do for this team? Now you had to trade away Sam Darnold, and maybe now with the new regime that they have in there, at least their new head coach, I think that's why they decided to hit the reset button on this team as well, because you're going to get a reset again, because how many times have you seen it with a quarterback that you need to learn a new system, like 3 years in a row, keep going, new system. Like he can't get further. A lot of people were saying that about Marcus Mariota again. He can't really get further because they kept hiring different guys. Mike Mack, new
offenses every year.
Yeah. I know guys were just in and out of there for for Tennessee and things like that, and he couldn't really had to learn a new playbook every time, so can't progress. And so now Sam Darnold moving over to the Carolina Panthers now. That's a good set for them. So overall, again, for the Jets,
this is a fail.
I think it's a fail,
it's
absolutely,
an
because
fail.
one, we don't know what he is still, so that's a fail on the player, I guess, or the Jets, and the fact that they haven't kept him around even since these 3 years. He's already on another team, so epic fail for the Jets. So there's I think you failed every single one so far, Joe. This is amazing. All right, so let's go to the fourth pick, and the Cleveland Browns again, and they shocked the world with this one, I think, too.
They surprised a
when
lot
they
of us.
grabbed Denzel Ward, and a lot of people, same argument. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he's a solid player. When he's out there playing for this team, makes an impact. Again, the problem is, each season he's only been in there and started or played like 12 games each season, so he has a little bit of the injury bug, but still plays well. Right. And the fact that he got picked there, that's the only problem, is that everybody thought that maybe they could have got them a little later, or what were they going to do here at the fourth, because a lot of them thought even maybe get Baker Mayfield, then Bradley Chubb was right there, or somebody else, a nice piece to fit along with Baker Mayfield. Instead, they go with Denzel Ward. Right. Again, great player, but a lot of people thought they could have got them further back.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing, too, is Denzel Ward, as it got close to this draft, his name started to go crazy and rise way up in the boards. People were saying that he was not, like, almost guaranteed he wouldn't fall out of the top 5. He was definitely going to be taken up there. So, very special player. He is a shutdown corner. I mean, ever since he's been with Cleveland, even as a rookie, he's really kind of stood up and held his ground as a cornerback. So for this pick, I mean, when I first saw it, when we both were watching this draft, right? All honestly, I was absolutely shocked that they took Denzel Ward. I thought it for sure was going to be Chubb adding another pass rusher to the Browns. But, man, they end up go ahead and they take this guy out of Ohio State, Denzel Ward, and good thing they did, because he's definitely helped this defense get stronger. For me, this is going to be a pass, believe it or not.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I like it.
Yes, my master.
You finally passed on one.
One.
So, yeah, one. There you go. So, so overall, Cleveland, I think, still is looking good in this so far. Again, this defense is a strength that they have, which, I mean, some people even probably didn't see that happening with this team. But, yes, that has been a strength for them. And everybody's just waiting for that offense to click. And it looks like they started to a little bit last season. So maybe they can keep it going here. And, again, like you said, that was without Odell Beckham Jr.
Right.
To where there was even been talks about maybe they're going to try and trade him this year and get somebody else in some.
And I believe that I want to say the name for the GM is Joe Barry. Is that his
I know
name?
they have a new GM. Yeah, I think so.
But I will say, like, the GM at the time was doing a great job of filling those holes, not only just drafting, but also in free agency, bringing some more talent in. So, that was a good pick for me. I like that pick.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and now that brings us to the guy we had just mentioned now, the Denver Broncos. Now, they go and get Bradley Chubb, so that was really scary at the time, too. Now you see Von Miller
on one
and
side
Bradley
and
Chubb on the other side. And, again, that first season, those guys were playing hand in hand, and it looked pretty scary, too, as well. But then the wheels started coming off the bus, I think, for the Denver Broncos on offense as well, in the next coming season, to where there was injuries, and then there was almost a change of the defense. They weren't no fly zone anymore. They were kind of stuff.
No, they're like
no
run zone.
Yeah, exactly. So then it was a lot of different things happened. They get Vic Fangio, and they had Joe Flacco in there. He didn't get along with them, and they drafted a quarterback too. So now where the Denver Broncos are now, they're in like a kind of limbo in a sense. Like, where are they in this division here, where the Chiefs have accelerated, and
Definitely.
they've been up and made it to the top of the cream of crop of this, but now closely behind them, again, the Raiders sitting there, and now the Chargers too, by going and get their quarterback. They look pretty nice too. So the Denver Broncos, after making that pick, now are kind of now in a limbo.
Yeah, you look at the Denver Broncos now. Now they got Vic Fangio as their head coach, a defensive-minded guy who absolutely loves Bradley Chubb, obviously, because defense loves defense. And but here's the other thing too: is Von Miller is in an interesting situation. His contract is a lot of money right now, and he is getting older. And we've heard reports that maybe they might think about cutting him loose and letting him go, but the new GM that just got instilled, thank God John Elway got moved out of that office. He said that they're going to keep Von Miller and keep him with Bradley Chubb. And I feel like this draft pick right here for the Broncos they were thinking about the future. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Well, like, we're not going to be able to have Von Miller forever. So we need to, like, possibly take the future now at that pass rush position with Bradley Chubb and cement at least one guy that's going to be here longer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So for Chubb was rated really high. He was another guy who was seen in the top 5. Nobody had any nobody thought that there was a chance he was going to slip out of that, and he ends up right at 5 for the Broncos. Bradley Chubb, they select him. I say for the time, I would say that it would have gotten a pass, but I'm going to say fail for this one, and I'll tell you why. Because for me, for the Broncos and the way they were when they were deciding to build this team, I don't think defensive end was a critical position and a critical thing to take right now. Now, was Chubb worth the pick? Absolutely. For the time, yeah. But Quentin Nelson is sitting there, for the Broncos. Don't you think you should start building the offensive lineup, and whoever is going to be your quarterback, you need to help protect them? So for me, I'm going to give it a fail, actually. And I'm going to go with I'm going to say that they should have took Quentin Nelson instead of the flashy pass rusher in Bradley Chubb.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, again, you're looking at it now. Where are they now?
And yeah, but here's the other thing, too, is Chubb. You look at him, like, did he have a decent career? Yes, sure. So far, he's had a decent career. But for picking 5th, I'm expecting elite.
Right.
I'm expecting a guy who's going to get 10-plus sacks almost every year or close to 10 sacks. And not really doing that. So, and especially when Von Miller does end up leaving Denver, what's that going to make Chubb when now he's starting to face double teams? You know what I mean? They're starting to worry just more about him. Is he going to be just kind of erased and forgotten? Yeah, or will his talent prevail? So for me, I'm going to say, no good.
That is correct.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that as well, too. Again, you led into what I was just thinking. Absolutely, again, for where he is. Again, you're looking for elite. They had, I thought the first season was good, and then it kind of tailed off from there.
Yeah.
And again, not getting the numbers that you wanted to because you're waiting for that, bam, 1-2 or 1A, 1B, and you're not getting that from them. So moving on to the 6th overall here, we have the Indianapolis Colts going and getting Quentin Nelson. Yeah, again, you know what Finally! Joe and I already like. We like this too. Yes. This is what we kind of wanted all together. Yes. I wanted it for my team, and the Colts go and get it. Finally, they have a guy that can protect their quarterback because the problem with what they had is they had Andrew Luck there, but he kept getting hit so many times and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And he suffered a fatal injuries, and then now it ended up leading to his retirement.
Yeah.
Early retirement for him.
Sad.
And it just crushed them all together and his legacy and his career just like that. And so they go and get Quentin Nelson, and they beef up that offensive line. I think it's a hit right out of the ballpark for them and the Colts. And then even the fact that they were able to get Frank Reich after that whole mishap with Josh McDaniels saying he's going to go there, and then he does it, and he brings Reich in on his staff, and they end up falling into Reich, which I think is a better fit than having Josh McDaniels himself. So I like it here. I love the pick here. I'm just going to say it's a pass absolutely for them.
Yeah, I mean, that whole coaching fiasco, unbelievable. I've never seen anything before in my life for a coach to say, I'll take the job. Okay, cool. We'll fly you over here. Oh, wait a second. I changed my mind. I'm not going to sign. I'm leaving. What? But, hey, that was a blessing in disguise for the Colts. I mean, honestly. Frank Reich ends up being their head coach, and now not only do they have a head coach that they can fully trust in and is going to be there for quite some time, but with this pick, with Quentin Nelson, I mean, I absolutely love this pick. I had Quentin Nelson rated as my number 1 guy, and for him to end up 6th to the Colts, they could not believe themselves. There's no way in that draft room they were sitting like, oh, my God, wait, is Quentin he's still there? Get the card in! Get the card in! You know what I mean? Like, they had been super elated about this. So, yeah, for me, this was a amazing pick for them. Not only was it a godsend to get Frank Reich as your head coach, but also eventually, to end up landing Quentin Nelson, Pro Bowl guard, at that spot at 6 is just truly amazing. Now, and then you could see what they did is they built the team the right way. Look at their offensive line now. You know what I mean? Now right this second, yeah, they got a little bit of a hole at left tackle, but they'll fill that. Most likely via draft. And but one of the best offensive lines put together right now. I mean, you could easily argue that. So, yeah, great pick by the Colts. They definitely get a pass from me.
All right, moving on to the 7th overall, and you talked about him earlier on. Should they have maybe switched if the Browns had maybe selected Josh Allen too? It might look a little better to them at this point, but the Buffalo Bills go and get Josh Allen out of Wyoming, and again,
I'm not saying that the Browns should have took him at 1. I'm saying maybe if they could have got, maybe the Bills were itching, maybe they wanted Baker. We don't really know for sure, or Sam Darnold or something like that. Maybe if they could have pulled off a trade and dropped to 7 and still got a guy like Josh Allen, that would have been amazing.
Absolutely, and you knew he had the arm there. I mean, you see the arm strength was compared to Patrick Mahomes. Again, you were just looking to see if he can get the accuracy. And the first season looked a bit rough there too. You saw the potential and where he was just missing some of the throws. And surprisingly enough, I think a lot of people saw the athleticism and with the running he was able to do for that team. And now he gets some more pieces around him that he needed, more weapons. So, ask about weapons for Sam Darnold, and look what it does for you. He goes to get Stephon Diggs now, not just John Brown and Cole Beasley on top. So John Brown's gone now, so you still have Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs. It helps, and a good defense now too as well, helping keep the offense have to keep going back and forth. You don't keep switching and getting tired. So now you've got him there. Plus, he gets Brian Dable there, too, as well, to help him learn, to help get him through and advance and get better, altogether. Plus, again, the head coach, too, doesn't get enough. Sean McDermott here doesn't get enough credit, too, as well, I think, with what he's done with this team. And it's a testament to having the team itself not go and just pull the trigger to get rid of your coach if things aren't going so well, not waiting for that plan to fit altogether. He's been good. He's been under that, Tom Coughlin type of, regime. He's hard on you, but he's fair, and has really brought this team somewhere nice to where now they're the cream of the crop of this division. Josh Allen is looking great and feeling good and looks happy. And I think it's looking good for them. I think it's a nice win for them because now it looks like they do have a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and Sean McDermott is definitely one of the most underrated coaches. I mean, the guy's been amazing. And, for them to get Sean McDermott and for him to turn out to be the coach that they thought they were getting is just amazing for a franchise. So by no means is his job, in jeopardy for sure. He can stay with Buffalo as long as he wants, and I'm sure they'll be happy about that. But yeah, I mean, Sean McDermott, he brought that defensive mindset with a little bit of an offensive twist that with his X's and O's. So, but all in all, I mean, Josh Allen to land there at 7, and there was pros and cons to Josh Allen too coming into this draft. A lot of people said he was inconsistent, in his accuracy. Throwing the football. Decisions were kind of questionable at times, and so that led to him kind of sliding a little bit right to the Bills at 7. So, yes, he had that cannon for an arm. Everybody knew about the cannon, and man, some of the amazing throws he could make off platform. Like he didn't have, the whole always stepping into the throw. Sometimes, like right now, Patrick Mahomes does it a lot. Make off platform throws. Josh Allen kind of does that himself as well. Like I've seen him throw a football like an absolute dart 40 yards down the field, and he's running backwards. Like it's just absolutely ridiculous to be able to pull that off. But so Josh Allen over time, and he's definitely developed really fast. I would say faster than I thought he was going to develop. In 2 seasons, he's really gone from a rookie who made a lot of mistakes to now a very solid quarterback, and then this past season, a guy that's taken it a step further and is starting to really kind of grasp and really hold on to the reins of the NFL and ride it into the playoffs. So this team is on a war path. They're looking to beat everybody this coming season. They're dangerous. I mean, we already know that how good their defense is. Now adding Josh Allen to this team and then building around him the right way, they are a dangerous team. So for Josh Allen to slip there, for them to take him and develop him, they get an A. Absolutely. They pass.
All right, absolutely. So moving on to the Chicago Bears now. They go and drafted the linebacker Roquan Smith out of Georgia, and he got injured early on, I think it was, right in that season, and then he didn't start until a little later, and they slowly worked him into the mix.
Oh, I just forgot before we move on.
Sure.
When the Bills were picking 7th, they had to make a trade to move up there.
Right.
They ended up trading with the Buccaneers. Buccaneers were actually 7. They were picking 7th, and they traded out of that. The Bills gave up 2 second rounders. They give up 2 second rounders to move up to 7 to get Allen because they were worried that they wouldn't be able to get him where they were. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that in.
That's why, yeah. And so again, Roquan Smith. So it took a little while for you able to see what he was able to do, but this was that year that they ended up trading with your Raiders, and they got Khalil Mack over there on that defense, and you had Akeem Hicks there, and that defense was actually looking really good. And then when you added Roquan Smith in there, I mean, he was able to perform, on a pretty good level. Just having that little bit of limited play time and being able to play as well. What do you think so far here with Roquan Smith at that pick, 8th overall?
Roquan Smith was a really good linebacker coming out of Georgia at that point in time, and he was deserving in being picked in the top 10. A lot of people didn't know where he was going to end up, but Chicago, with a need at middle linebacker, they end up go ahead and they take Roquan Smith, and oh my God, the guy's been playing lights out ever since he was drafted. So, I mean, for him to come in and be a huge impact to that defense, pick at 8, doesn't matter. Pick 10, pick 7, wherever the Bears were taken, and they took Roquan Smith, that's a pass for me all the way. The guy's just absolutely amazing. Sideline to the sideline linebacker who can do it all. So,
absolutely. I like it as well, too. Again, it's a nice fit along with that defense, and he was able to play right away and jump right into that. Now, moving on to the San Francisco 49ers, I think this kind of surprised some people, too, here when the 49ers went with the offensive tackle Mike Mcglinky from Notre Dame. But overall, I think he's been a pretty solid player for them. And when they had questions, too, was what were they going to do with Joe Staley? What's going to happen here? So, I mean, when he comes in and help plays for them, I think he ended up being a good set for them, too, as well, especially when they're trying to move into that three-headed monster of a running game they're trying to do here and trying to protect their quarterback, who at the time now is Jimmy G.
And you got to remember, too, this draft, Joe Staley was coming off of a major injury. So maybe the Niners didn't feel super confident. I think they felt confident enough that he was going to return, but was he going to return back to the Joe Staley that they knew was the big question. So they ended up taking some insurance right here, and they grabbed Mike Mcglinky. Great, definitely the number 1 rated tackle that was coming out in this draft. And I was a little nervous with this pick. And I found out something because the Raiders, I guess, were looking into Mike, and they actually were going to take him if he slid to them, and because it didn't, they ended up trading back. So this pick here, Mike Mcglinky, number 1 tackle off the board, and the Niners had to listen. And this is what you notice is well-run teams. They don't necessarily take the favorite pick. They don't necessarily take the flashy pick. But when they take the pick that means most to their team, those are the ones that make a big difference in the draft. So for the Niners, that was Mike Mcglinky. And to this day, great starter for them at tackle. So for the number 9 pick to take Mike Mcglinky, he was well-deserving of this pick. I'm going to say the Niners get a pass on this one.
Boom, there you go. Yeah, I'd say the same thing as well, too. Again, I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out, but it ended up looking good, too, for them. They instantly were a contender, and if it wasn't for injury so much this season, too, they would have been playing pretty well, too, as well. And, Jimmy G, I think, again, if it wasn't if they had a different quarterback in that particular Super Bowl, I think they would be returning champions, not so much the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, now the Arizona Cardinals, they go and get Josh Rosen. So now we get to hear this story. By the way, shout out to Josh May out there here joining with us tonight.
And Don Spence.
Oh, yeah, excellent, too. Don Spence, too, as well. Josh Rosen. And it was funny. I was looking at some stats, too. And if you looked at Josh Rosen's stats, even if you put them all to those rookie quarterbacks from this particular draft, he was looking better than Sam Darnold even overall stat line. I mean, especially even on the hurry, when he was getting rushed, a lot better percentage, overall than what Sam Darnold was doing and things like that. And now this guy can't even find a starting job. So that's what's interesting with Josh Rosen, how he's just he's like the gypsy quarterback. You know what I mean? Just can't find a home. He's always traveling around here and there and everywhere, and just found nobody that wanted it really altogether. They gave him a shot, but this never did it. And is it work ethic? Is it just is it overall just talent? Is it, I'm not sure. Is it because the question that they did have with some of these guys too, when they did interview him, he was almost on the line of like, football's not my number one thing. I got other interests.
And the other thing with Josh Rosen too coming into this draft is a lot of people didn't like his attitude. He had this like cockiness attitude, or like kind of like he was better than even when he had interviews with the teams. It was almost like he was talking down to the coaches and talking down to the owners and GMs of the organizations, and that rubbed a lot of teams the wrong way. Some teams might have valued him and say, "Hey, he's tough. He's got thick skin. He's got a huge amount of confidence. We like that." But a lot of teams rubbed him the wrong way, and they didn't really like that. So a lot of people were kind of down on Rosen. But when it comes to talent and him playing quarterback, he was a solid quarterback in college. From UCLA, he had accuracy down. He had a strong arm. He was very smart. So a lot of things that you like to see out of a quarterback, and he had those things. But for whatever reason, some teams they didn't really agree with him. It didn't see him as a scheme fit or just a fit at all with their team. And it was funny because one of Rosen's quotes during the draft was after he got picked 10th overall, he said that, they asked him, what about the teams in front of you? Did any of them show interest or anything? He just said, there were 9 mistakes made ahead of me. So that just goes to show you like how confident he was about himself, and he was going to put it to those teams. But now that we see that he didn't even get to turn into a starter or even really given a true shot, I would say. I mean, you think about when he was taken 10th with the Cardinals, he got like 1 year of show me what you got, and then they turned around, they drafted Kyler Murray the very next season, and shipped him off. For this pick at 10, and to mention this, the Cardinals had to trade up. This is where the Raiders were picking at 10. The Cardinals had to trade up with the Raiders to get Rosen. So with the trade, with where Rosen has ended up, obviously it's got to be a fail.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yep.
It's just a waste of a pick. It's basically nothing.
It is now.
You traded up for nothing.
And again, the next season, like you said, you didn't have the faith enough that you go and get Kyler Murray there. And look how that has kind of panned out for this team now, too. The Arizona Cardinals are an up-and-coming team. Really exciting to watch, especially with the personnel that they have over there.
So I guess that decision worked out for them after.
Yeah, after the fact, I guess, But yeah, but even if you look at it, if they had picked somebody else, that this could be another fit that would help Kyler Murray right now. You know what I mean? If you had a number one guy, because you look at some of these other guys that they got drafted afterwards. Well, let's look at the next one, the Miami Dolphins, where Josh Rosen went next. Minka Fitzpatrick. If they grabbed Minka Fitzpatrick in Arizona, and add him to that defense, how nice does that look too as well? Something like that,
definitely.
To help that defense out for him. So
definitely.
But yeah, so I agree with you here too. That's just a lousy pick altogether. Now didn't really work out. I think it's a mix of everything. His attitude, because if you think about it, when he's like, "Oh, these guys made mistakes," not picking me. You see guys turn that into momentum. They turn it into something that drives them to achieve more, and he didn't. So it just seemed like a poor attitude, a big complainer. like you see with a lot of people. So now Minka Fitzpatrick here, no longer with the Miami Dolphins anymore, too. So this is going to be interesting on this one to where you see this. Is it a pass or a fail for you? Let us know in the comments with you guys because overall, if I look at the player, I like the pick. Even too, because you see where it happened and it worked out for him. But then that season when the Patriots, type of guys came in here and cleaned house, it looked like they were just doing all tank for Tua. There was a fire sale. Minka Fitzpatrick was some of it. He went to Pittsburgh, and he's balling out in Pittsburgh. So I like the pick. I'd say it's a win for the player, but Miami doesn't have him right now. But they are able, though, also to get the picks to where now they have stockpiled picks and where they have built this team up. So I think altogether still, I'm just going to say this is a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, right. Minka Fitzpatrick, and this makes no sense to me at all. I mean, after they hired Brian Flores to take over the team, it seemed like he was looking to just rake in more draft picks, and he wanted to build the team the way he saw fit, not with the guys that were already there. So how could he get the most bang for the buck? Trade away these young up-and-coming players. You know what I mean? They traded away his left tackle. He traded away Minka Fitzpatrick. He traded away all these young guys and really raked in some heavy compensation. But to say the least, pick number 11 for them to take Minka Fitzpatrick. Minka was definitely seen as one of the best DBs coming out, and seeing how he played in Miami and in Pittsburgh, tremendous player. I mean, the guy is all over the football field. He can play safety or corner. The Miami Dolphins, they used him a little bit at corner, then they moved him to safety, then he went to the Steelers. So far has a great career going on. And with the pick with Minka, I say it's got to be a pass regardless if he's on the team or not. I think they really, at least they got to use him for a couple of years. You don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, too, as well. Now moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. They go with the D-tackle Vita V, and this guy, again, you're hoping it was going to be something nice for them, too, but had the injury bug early on, too, didn't really see the field, and overall hasn't been a really impact player, I think, for this defense. Hasn't really led up to what you were looking for. Right. You see those strong Samoan type of players there, coming through, make an impact, and he hasn't been there. A lot of these other guys that they have had added in free agency and stuff like that still there. JPP, to name one, even two, from the Giants, kind of didn't work out with them after the incident with them, kind of split ways, and he's been a very impactful player for them. Vita V, the young guy, they draft him in here, not really making out so much for them. I would say that this is going to be a fail for me.
And that's the thing too is you also think about where they're taking these guys. 12 overall, Vita V at D tackle. If you're taking a D tackle at 12, they better be dominant. They better be like a Reggie White-esque type of player. They need a guy that's just going to collapse the pocket, create a ton of pressure, and get after the quarterback. And Vita Vea was never seen as a guy. Yes, he does have pass rushing ability, but he's seen more of a guy kind of like a tweener nose tackle. So like he can take on multiple guys, like take on double teams easily and everything like that, but he's not getting the job done for you in the middle to get after the quarterback or at least create pressure from every other snap. So being picked at 12, I thought this was a little bit of a reach, and for me it's definitely got to be a fail as well.
All right, there you go.
Not to mention how many times he was injured.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the thing. You gotta be
his rookie year, he was injured. He didn't play very much. The following year, he didn't play all year. It's almost like he's never played except for a handful of games.
Absolutely. And then that brings us to the Washington football team. They go and drafted the D-tackle Daron Payne here out of Alabama, Joe. Now, what do you think so far here with Washington with that pick? And again, when you look at some of these now, too, 3 years removed, a lot of these GMs and these coaches aren't even with these teams anymore, too. So it goes to even show you maybe how that is impacted.
Absolutely. I mean, Daron Payne is just an absolute beast at D-tackle. Now, this would have been the pick. Now, see, if Tampa took Daron Payne instead of Vita Vea, I would have gave them a pass. But I think they really screwed up in the scouting process here. But Daron Payne, the very next pick for Washington, I mean, they hit it out of the park. I mean, Daron Payne is an absolute monster inside. Creates a ton of pressure, gets after the quarterback at times. He does his job well. And forget about running close to him because he'll just grab you and rip you right down. So Daron Payne, excellent D tackle, has really panned out for Washington, and it's a pass for me all the way.
There you go. And moving up to the New Orleans Saints, a lot of these trades are not showing any of this on this list for some reason. Some of the other ones they do, but New Orleans, they moved up to this 14th spot.
They traded.
And we were wondering,
just so you know, they traded 2 first-round picks to move up to get Marcus Davenport.
Right. Yeah, they moved up, and we're like, I think when we were watching this, I think we were maybe thinking they were going for Derwin James or somebody. I'm trying to remember who they were going for. We thought, and then when it's Marcus Davenport again, we were there.
I really thought it was for a guy like Derwin James because there was going to be a need at safety, maybe not right there and then, but they could see that their safeties were getting older. You know what I mean? So maybe they were moving up. They're like, we're all in on Derwin James. This is the pick. You know what I mean? And then they're like, Marcus Davenport.
Yeah, even people you can hear the
wait a second. Wait, who? Wait, this early? Yay! I don't know about that.
There was a person out there. That was Sean Payton doing that. That's what it was. But lo and behold, I think Marcus Davenport has played well for them.
Played well.
But does it
But
justify moving up in those first picks giveaway?
The other part of this equation, though, too, is leading up to this draft, Marcus Davenport wasn't a slam dunk of a pick. They said that he was a little bit of a project that they would have to develop further, get him stronger, get him to learn more pass rush moves, and so forth. So being a project-type player and for them to give up the compensation that they gave up just to get up there to get him, and right now, is he good? Yeah, he's good, but he's not great. He's not even scraping elite. So for
Don't
me,
be rude.
to be 14th overall, it's a fail for me.
Yeah, I mean, this one's tough for me. It's like because again, I like the player.
I like the player,
but
don't get me wrong.
I don't like the what they gave up for it at all.
Not at all.
The position what they did it. So
I guess to move up to get him at 14.
So that would be, I guess, a fail for me then too. I guess.
Sit down.
Yeah, sit down. I guess that would have to be a fail for that one. On
now,
this one.
if they stayed where they were and they still got Davenport, that would have been a huge passing.
Right, because that would have been there where they would have fell in place. Yeah, and you're not giving up all that equity that you did. All right, so now moving on to then the Oakland Raiders. Again, I remembered when this came in through too. I think we were looking at your team,
excited.
And we were like, "All right, here we go."
Like, Derwin James is there.
Yes.
Tremaine Edmonds is there.
Yes.
I was super excited. I'm like, take one of them. If you take one of them, that's it. That's what we're gonna. Let's take offensive tackle from UCLA, Colton Miller. I was floored. I was absolutely floored. I just couldn't comprehend what was happening. I had no idea. I'm like,
what the fuck is going on?
That's probably a closer soundbite.
Yeah, absolutely.
But nonetheless, I thought with Derwin James there, we had a need at safety. I'm like, this is too easy. This is way too easy. I realized we still needed help at an offensive tackle and offensive line, but we don't pass up a guy like Derwin James, right? Well, the Raiders were convinced that Colton Miller not only was their guy, but he really did pan out. I mean, I'll say this. As much as I disagreed with the pick, and I still do, even though Miller panned out, I'm sorry. I was all in on Derwin James. So Colton Miller, absolutely 110%. He's definitely made a huge difference. He's been their left tackle ever since he's been drafted, and has held it down. I mean, Derek Carr hardly gets touched when Miller's there. So, and he's always healthy. So, that's a huge thing. So, yeah, for me, it's a pass, actually.
Yeah, there you go. He likes it. He likes it.
I didn't like it. before I
Well, you
didn't.
didn't. Yes,
and
but
now
you
I've
do.
come around.
There you go.
Ding, 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 motherfucker.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, Colton Miller, again, we heard that this was going to be a project.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He
Yes.
was going to learn
That's
on
what
it, and that's
worried
why
me.
you're looking at it, and you're like, at 15, a
Yeah, that's
project?
what
You could have
worried.
got a project
Yes.
guy later on. But
Right.
the fact that it did pan out, it works out for you, too, as well, like I said. You know, so I guess I'll give them a pass on this one as well. But, again, when you look at some of the other players that are still involved here that have panned out, too, as well, it's tough. It could be either or, you know what I mean? Because, again, all you could ever ask for is a starting tackle that protects your quarterback, though. So, I mean, there you go. Yeah. So, I mean, potato, I guess, with this one.
And the funny thing is now that we've seen what Derwin James has not done.
Right.
I mean, we
in
saw
a sense,
his rookie year.
He's out when he's out there. He's elite.
His rookie year is
but
the only time he was
just,
out there.
Yeah.
He's been injured the last couple of years.
I know, and that's what stinks. It's because he's there. It just can't be out there to do it. You know, be an impact.
Maybe he just doesn't want to play for the Chargers.
Maybe, man. I don't know.
Is he
It
faking
seems
it?
like with some of those guys, you know, that they have had there.
It's weird, though.
It's just the injury bug, you know.
It's so crazy.
And that they can't stay on the field together.
Is it the climate? What the hell's going on?
I don't know. Maybe it's just they're not in San Diego anymore, so they're in Los Angeles.
Diego.
So I don't know. Maybe it is. But now that moves us into the Buffalo Bills here, and Tremaine Edmonds here from Virginia Tech. They go and grab the linebacker there. And, again, the Buffalo Bills making moves in this draft, you know, getting players that were in impact.
They trade up. They get their quarterback. They have that spot at 16. And they take another player with good value right there at 16. And they also filled the need on top of that. So they killed two birds with one stone.
Absolutely. And the things that they have done before on defense here with the players that they've had, to where even when they had other defensive-minded coaches, struggled a bit at times in keeping some of these guys in and wasting a lot of time on Mario Williams and things like that. So now you've got Tremaine Edmonds there. You've got a lot of the impact players, but there you go. I mean, I think I like it all together. Tre'Davious White. Yeah.
Woo.
Oh, yeah. That was nice, too. A nice pick. But Ed Oliver, too, having it here, too. It wasn't in this particular draft, but, again, the stockpile and what they're doing.
Let's save that. Let's table it.
Another one.
Let's
yeah.
not let spoil that
But the Bills made a lot of big, epic plays here in this first round, and right now they are passing with flying colors, I'd say, for them. Moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers here. Derwin James again. I liked the pick there. I thought it was a steal for them, too, as well.
I hated
first
the pick.
season. Oh, I bet. I know, because that's what I remember. We were only 1 year into our show, I think.
Right.
I think we had one season in.
Yes,
we were ready to get our next season going, and we're like, we're going to watch the draft together. This is when we were, again, the talks of this show starting, and, at a bowling alley and stuff like that. And we're watching this happen, and we're in the bowling alley freaking out, while everybody else is trying to bowl around us, and we're like, dying. And Derwin James, again, like you said, impactful first season.
Oh, my God.
When he's out there, he's making plays. And it seemed like for them, even at times, he was like the only guy that was doing stuff for them.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that the injury bug has clipped them, it's tough for them. So it almost seems like at this point it could be a wasted pick.
And it very well could be. I mean, tremendous value for Derwin James to slide to 17. Excuse me, I cannot believe he was still there. And then for the Raiders to pass him and everything else, I was like, where is he going to? Of course he goes to one of my rivals. Just of course that happens. But, now seeing what has transpired the past few years, Derwin James had a lights-out rookie season. Looked like he was going to be the next, great elite safety for the Chargers. And then gets bit by the injury bug, just like you mentioned. And he hasn't played since. So he hasn't. He hasn't even played the first game of the season. You know what I mean? The last two seasons. So, yeah, I would say coupled with the injury problem, and for him to only play one season, I gotta say it's a failed pick because of the injuries for me. He's not. He made a tremendous first year of production, but then after that, he hasn't been able to help his organization or help his team out. So, for me, it's going to be a fail. But know-it-alls out there, if you're just tuning into the show, if you have any opinions, let us know what you guys think of each one of these picks. Do you think they're passes or fails in your eyes? Let us know what you think out there. We'd love to hear them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, if you have any friends, family, anybody that likes football like you guys do, like we do, we absolutely love it, live it, breathe it, sleep, everything. Go ahead and make sure you get them to follow us on YouTube and Facebook. On YouTube, Football on the Know Show. Hit the subscription button so you're locked in as a know-it-all, and then hit the notification bell to go to all our latest and greatest updated content, as well as on Facebook, Football on the Know with Jim and Joe. That's our page. Make sure you lock in, become a member there. And it'd be tremendous. We would just love it if you guys could help us out, grow our community a little bit better. And also on Twitter for little quick snippets of any kind of news or anything like that, at FB_know. That is where you can find us.
Absolutely. So, yeah, definitely join us in with all these. And we're making changes to as we go, too, with a lot of this with our show, too. So keep tuned in for all that stuff. All right, so moving on from Derwin James. I mean, we're at 18 right now, so we're halfway through. The Green Bay Packers go Jair Alexander here, the cornerback here for Louisville. And I think Alexander has played pretty well for them on defense. Again, for first round, though, I mean, I don't know. It's tough for them. I don't think altogether they have done very well, I think, in their first round for the last couple of seasons. Again, this is where the regime has changed now again. So now you've even got, Matt LaFleur there, and he went and traded up and grabbed, a quarterback now, So, I mean, it's tough with this Packers team here. But, I mean, they're trying to help their defense out. They were aging quickly on their team, so they're trying to fix the cornerback situation here. What do you have to say about the pick here for the Green Bay Packers?
I think at 18 for Jair Alexander that year was definitely seen as one of those cornerbacks competing for that top 5 conversation. Very good corner. Very solid. You would often stick with guys one-on-one, can play zone, did a lot of things that Green Bay was really looking for in their scheme, and I think he's played admirably well. I think he was definitely deserving of the 18th pick. I think they filled a hole, and just like you mentioned, they were starting to age. They had to kind of, flip that coin and get back to the youthful side. So with Jair Alexander with this pick, I think this was easily a pass for me, no doubt.
There you go. And yeah, they love it. They love
Thank
it.
you.
Yes,
Thanks,
there you go.
guys.
There you go.
Sit down. Don't hurt yourself. Sit down.
Yeah, sit down,
Okay.
everybody. All right, so now moving on to the Dallas Cowboys. Again, you looked at this team, and everybody for the Cowboys were saying they're going wide receiver on this one. There's wide receivers out there still. Everybody was talking about Calvin Ridley was out there. A lot of other guys, too, as well, which we saw moving further on in the list. And then when it comes out is Leighton Vander Esch. A lot of people, I think, just kind of freaked out a little bit. This is what everybody's kind of like, what are the Dallas Cowboys doing? All right, Chris, chill the hell out. Right? But, yeah, Leighton Vander Esch, people were like, wow, really? Like, what?
Definitely
what the hell?
surprised, for sure.
People were surprised and stuff like that. And when you saw this guy get on the field, though, and play, he was very almost like – not exactly. The only way he's almost like their linebacker that they had there, Sean Lee, is like he got to the ball, played lights out, was able to make moves and stuff like that. But just like Sean Lee as well, he's got the injury bug. You know what I mean? And that's where it hurts with this pick because he was able to make plays, and he looked like he was going to step into that spot to where Sean Lee was just, again, injured all the time, couldn't be out there. They need to start replacing him, and they couldn't really trade him away. Nobody wants him. So it looked like they were going to go hand in hand and kind of he was going to take over the torch. But when they're both splitting time because they're never healthy, that tends to be a problem here with Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, the Cowboys were definitely looking for a successor at the linebacker position. And Leighton Vander Esch, the reason why he slipped down to 19, because a lot of people said that if he could stay healthy and maintain his health in college, that he would have been a top 10 pick. He's that special of a linebacker. He can do a lot of things well. Great cover guy, can tackle extremely well, gets those big hits from time to time, and definitely was tremendous against the run. So an all-around type of linebacker for them. Ends up slipping there because of the injury issues he had in college, and it follows him all the way into the pros. For at 19, the Cowboys to get him. A lot of people were kind of surprised by this because, just like you were mentioning, like A lot of people thought maybe Calvin Ridley would have been the pick here because they know that they had a receiver need at the time. They could have went offensive line as well to kind of revamp it. But they ended up turning into linebacker because they were kind of surprised on Leighton Vander Esch still being there despite the injury problems. They end up taking him, and is he a lights-out linebacker? Absolutely. He's a really good linebacker, but only when healthy, and that's the problem. Is you see this trend now with guys that are getting often injured. Are they really doing anything to help your team? No. I mean, they're sitting out, unfortunately, because of their injury. So for me, even though it's a little bit later of a pick at 19, Leighton Vander Esch hasn't been on the field enough to warrant this pick. So I'm going to say it's a fail.
All right, there you go. It's a fail for them. All right, so unfortunately we had some issues here with our chat box here, but we got it going on again here. So I want to apologize first of all to our man Mike Tackett. He was on YouTube watching us, and he posted some comments. So I'm going to shout out to Mike Tackett. So I want to get to his comments quick. He says, "What
do you got?
Happy Hump Day, guys! It's been a while." Quentin Nelson, I know because everything we've been doing, I've been on vacation and this COVID's going crazy, but we're back, again, hopefully we can keep a couple weeks together. But he says Quentin Nelson is by far the best player in the draft, but I think Cleveland got it right by drafting Mayfield. The only what if is, I got to see the rest. I can't see the rest. Okay, so then I can't see the rest of that one. All right, but then anyways, next he goes, what if Cleveland got Quentin Nelson? Or maybe that's what he's commented after here. What if Cleveland got Quentin Nelson at number 1 and traded up from 33 overall to 32 overall, picking up Lamar Jackson, franchise quarterback and anchor of your O-line, both picked in the same round of the same draft. And this is what
Mike just spoiled my conversation I was going to have later.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, and
yeah, exactly.
That's the conversation a lot of people had. And I had that
thing.
conversation with people as well.
Yeah.
Because I even said with people ahead of time of the draft, I said to the Giants again, trade back and try and get Lamar Jackson and then Nick Chubb. That's who I wanted the Giants to do. I wanted the Giants to do something like that. And they might have, especially with the way the draft ended up. With Nick Chubb going into the second round early to Cleveland and Lamar Jackson actually getting picked by Baltimore later in the first round. That was something I was looking for. So, and like he said, to get your tackle or your offensive line and your guard you needed, and a quarterback that seems to be your franchise quarterback, how perfect would that have been?
The only thing I'll say is it wouldn't have been perfect, and here's why. Cleveland's offense is not Baltimore's offense the way it is. They run. Here's the other thing is you got to remember too, the Ravens offensive coordinator kind of evolved that heavy run offense that they had all schemed out. He evolved that even further to help Lamar Jackson's development. So utilizing Lamar's mobility with his passing ability that he had, and he wasn't as good of as a passer coming out of college too. There was a lot of negativity about his accuracy, especially on his deep balls. What he could do. Could he do enough as a quarterback or whatnot? So if Cleveland had him, if Freddie Kitchens had Lamar Jackson, okay, I say it would have been a huge failure. Not for Lamar himself, but more for the organization to not figure out how to use Lamar. So as great as that sounds, you got to think too, is scheme fit. He didn't really fit that offense that Freddie Kitchens was running. And don't get me wrong, I understand his mobility is second to none, and he could have made it work. But I don't think he would have been as successful as he is now with Baltimore. So I just feel like would have been pretty cool to now that we see that, and then we go back to it again. But I just don't think it would have worked out in Lamar's favor.
Yeah, and what would have happened too? I mean, with all those weapons too, if he couldn't get the ball to him, because of missed throws and stuff like that, that maybe you had questions about him having. Right. And the fact that he's the focal point and doing a lot of the running or something, like maybe to take off running and not throw it to some of those guys, more vocal guys like Odell Beckham Jr. when he's out there. I'm not getting the ball. This guy's taking off running. Landry, we've heard him be vocal before. Yeah. So you have that issue, But imagine seeing him though with Nick Chubb, though, they're still.
Would've been
but
nice.
then also they did get Kareem Hunt, too, as well.
Eventually.
So imagine that with the kind of running game style they would have had.
That would have also played into that factor, too. Maybe they don't pursue Hunt if they have a guy like Lamar that can run like that, and they draft Nick Chubb. So a lot of things that a lot of variables that could have changed everything throughout this draft.
Absolutely. All right, so moving on to the Detroit Lions here.
Thank you, Mike, for that comment.
Sorry, we're just getting back to you.
It was definitely a cool thing to talk about for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And Frank Ragnow here for the Lions. I think I really like this pick too as well. I mean, he's a beast out there, center for them. I really like it. I'd say they get a pass on this one. One thing that the Detroit Lions did do right for once, So.
In the last how many years?
Yeah, decades.
But anyway, Frank Ragnow was seen as the number 1 center coming out in this draft from Arkansas. I loved it. They were desperate, and in this draft, they were desperate to get a center. And if they waited to the second round, they probably don't get any guy worthy of being able to start for them. So Frank Ragnow, they go out, they get their number 1 guy, landed him at 20. For me, it's a pass, easy.
All right, that's easy there. So we'll give them an applause.
Yay,
Detroit Lions! Congratulations!
Let's go!
All right,
good job.
I did something right for once.
Yep.
And then now everybody's fired and gone, and then they make the trade and get their quarterback they have down there too. Jared Goff. So it's like, now he's just in limbo too. I mean, I feel bad for him. Go ahead.
I'll just say this, like, real quick. As much as we love Matt Stafford, that trade, the Lions won that hands down. Like when you gave up all that compensation in draft picks and high draft picks, 2 first-rounders and a third this year, I think. On top of that, here's a young quarterback, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, here's someone to fill in the shoes for Stafford for years to come, and all these draft picks. If now the Lions just can't screw up the draft, is what it is.
Yeah, that's what, and you're waiting for to see him excel. That would be nice. But again, when you're talking about a team that hasn't done anything right for a long time, and they go and say that they're going to, they're looking at the wide receivers that are in, free agency right now, and there's a lot to do, and then they don't do anything, and they let Kenny Golladay walk out of the building. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, so you're going all in on the draft then on wide receiver?
To be fair,
and you're gonna build that offensive line. Like, what are you doing?
Because of that drop in that salary cap that affected every team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to pay big money. Nobody. And where Juju and Kenny Golladay came in, they thought they were going to cash in as being number 1 and 2, whichever way you want to spin it. They thought they were going to cash in. Both of them were going to cash in and make big money. But nobody was offering it. Detroit wasn't going to offer it. Nobody. Even the Steelers to re-sign Juju, they're like, no, we're not giving you crazy money. So that played a huge factor. And until Kenny Golladay and Juju realized, like, hey, man, we've been out here for quite some time, and nobody's going to sign us to this kind of a contract. We have to do whatever, take whatever we can get. And that's what led Kenny Golladay to the Giants.
They ended up even doing 1-year deals and stuff like that too, because
because of the 1-year deal, because they know that cap number is going to go up next year, and if it does, then those guys are definitely free to go out and probably get bigger contracts.
All right, now moving on to Cincinnati Bengals here, they go and draft the center as well with Billy Price here, Joe, from Ohio State. What do you think about the Cincinnati Bengals?
The Bengals really screwed this up. That's just basically bottom line. Billy Price, definitely a good prospect at the time, but just never really amounted to anything in the NFL. It never really panned out. So for the failure, obviously it's just a failed draft pick. It's a fail easy.
Don't fail me again.
Well, they do time and time again, the Cincinnati Bengals. Sorry. All right, now the Tennessee Titans here. They go and get linebacker Rashaan Evans here from Alabama, Joe. Titans, take it away.
Yeah, Titans, Rashaan Evans. Now, this is kind of a mediocre pick. Rashaan Evans, has he really done anything? He's been a starter for the Tennessee Titans, but it hasn't really flashed that productivity when he was with Alabama. And maybe it was because of the surrounding talent around him at Alabama. We know that they are very, very extremely deep with talent, and maybe because of that is kind of what let him shine, so to speak. So Tennessee takes him at 22. Knowing what we know now with this team and the defense that he's been in, he's also been injured as well. which kind of has hurt him in this defense. And the times that he has played, he hasn't looked really special to me. So I'm going to also say that's a fail as well.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, we got another comment in here now that we have the chat box working here. Chris Simpson is in the house with us tonight here. Chris Simpson's in the house. He said, what was said about the number 2 overall pick? And that was, who was that again? Was that Darnold?
Saquon Barkley.
Oh, that was Saquon Barkley. Yeah. That's right. Chris Simpson, is he a Giants fan?
He is a Giants fan. That's why you see the eyeballs.
Yes,
he's super excited about
he's
that.
excited about that. Well, I liked it.
You liked it.
And Joe gave it a fail. I gave it a pass just because, again, I think with last year's major injury that he had and then missing a few games the prior season, those 2 first seasons, he still had back-to-back 1,000-yard games and was a major focal point of this offense altogether, where they really didn't have a lot of anything. And this year, you just hope that you can get that same Saquon Barkley. So it's exciting when you see the weapons that you have around here now on offense, and hope that Daniel Jones now, because that's the next step that's going to be out there too, is we're going to take a look into the scope of Daniel Jones next year, I think, then. Yeah, so, I mean, you're going to see what happens and what they have here. Because if they don't have
excuses.
the quarterback that they of the future, then there's an interesting conversation altogether as well. But again, throughout that first season too, when you had the doubters that were out there knocking Eli and saying now the Giants screwed up by getting Saquon Barkley, and this was a big mistake and things like that. Meanwhile, Saquon was making moves and playing hard and doing well. I mean, I still overall liked it. I liked what he was able to do. But again, in the same breath, I'm along with Joe where I really would have been happy with just going ahead and getting the offensive lineman that we wanted and Quentin Nelson. Get that strong offensive line already. The need that we've needed to have that we still need. We still need a better offensive line. We're still asking this question and asking Dave Gettleman, are you helping us this year on this one? Are you going to do your job?
On it.
He's working on it. Let me tell you, one thing he does do is open up the checkbook and try to make moves. I mean, when Saquon Barkley went down, he signed like 6 different running backs last year. He went out and got corners that we needed when we needed that. Right. I mean, Logan Ryan, it seemed like he was making the moves we needed to make to get where we needed to why we had a good defense last year. It's just our offense was terrible. But 2,000 scrimmage yards year one, yeah, because again, if you look on the receiving part too, he was doing lights out, and he did. I think it was like 2,048 maybe or something like that. I forget what it was, but yeah, it was ridiculous. So what do you think, Chris? Do you think that's a pass here so far with where the team is now? Do you like the Saquon Barkley pick, or are you more along the lines even too like? Did you want to go for one of those quarterbacks? It's tough to tell now because you see what some of these guys are. Like a lot of people are high on Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen. I know I did not want Josh Rosen. No. When I started to hear that in mock drafts, I was freaking the hell out. I did not want this to happen. I was like, please don't let this happen. You know what I mean? So when we were more along the lines of Saquon Barkley, I was feeling a little better about that. But overall, I wanted to quit Nelson, but I like the pick. Again, Joe's on a fail. So
wow, are you all right?
Yeah. Why?
You just ran along with
that
that one.
I'm sorry. He wanted to know. I mean, you want to tell him what you think?
Yeah, real quick. I was
trying to sum it up for you.
Basically, I gave it a fail because when you also add into the fact that Saquon Barkley wasn't there last year, coming off a major injury, and he missed a couple of games the year prior, and for picking 2 overall, I'm not saying he's a bad
for a running back,
right? For a running back, for that value of a running back, you got to be, not only is he got to be healthy for your team all the time and be that. And don't get me wrong, he is an impact player. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's a bad player. Not saying that he didn't deserve to be taken. What I'm saying is that at that spot, I definitely would have taken, which I thought was the number 1 prospect coming out, was Quentin Nelson. I just thought that you build from the trenches out, and they needed offensive line there. Yes, we understand that they took Will Hernandez in the 2nd round, but to get a guy like Quentin Nelson, oh my God, that would have been amazing for them, and then move on and add the talent later.
All right. He goes, I love Barkley. I wanted him, but we could have addressed something else for sure. But if he comes out and balls and we win games, everything is forgotten. And I think that's the thing you gotta hope for, at least as a Giants fan right now, because you have seen what he's been able to do. And now when you look at this offense, it looks nice. I mean, I really like the talent around you now. Now you don't have to maybe just rely on the health, of your wide receivers and things like that. You know what I'm saying? The issues that I've always had. Evan Ingram becoming a great receiver for you. You know what I'm saying? A guy who has stone hands, can't catch it all the time. He can make some spectacular catches, but then drop some of the easy ones.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And again, injuries have plagued these wide receivers. And Darius Slayton, yeah, I mean, I think that overall, that was a nice pick for where you drafted him.
Right.
You can't expect him, though, all of a sudden to say, oh, he's your number one now. He's a great player.
I mean, he has a talent to
He's
be
got
number
some
one,
talent,
for sure.
yes. I think it's a great story, and he's a great addition to the team at where they picked him, absolutely. But you can't go and say, we've got our stud. Boom, it's him. And then, I like Galladay here in this spot better, especially his length that he adds to the team as well, because that's the one thing, too, you've seen with this team. Some of the height wasn't there. That's what the problem was with Golden Tate. Mm-hmm. And you tried to get him in on the slot to try and sneak in under plays, but he was just not able to get the big plays that you wanted to, too. He's more of a guy that played well in practice, and then he gets in the game and doesn't do anything.
Well, I'll say this, too, is that with Golden Tate not being there, it created a huge void. Mm-hmm. So they needed another receiver to add into that wide receiving core. You have Sterling Shepard, pretty darn solid wide receiver there. You have Kenny Galladay, who is immediately your number one, and then you can have Slayton opposite of Galladay.
Yep.
That makes your receiving core way more dangerous all over the football field. So
absolutely. And then you could run 2 tight end sets here, because Kyle Rudolph, I think, still is going to be fairly productive a little bit with them, and get Evan Ingram on the other side, too, as if you wanted to.
Pump the brakes on Kyle Rudolph. His knee
I know, that's true. The injuries, though, yeah, he's got to pass that still. I forgot about that. Yeah.
The only thing that I'll say about Rudolph is you should cut Rudolph, and you should go out and trade up for Kyle Pitts. Yes.
There you go. There you go. Who knows? Yeah, I know, because I forgot about that. I forgot about he kept that injury under the books, and then all of a sudden it comes up. But then they had said, I thought even that went through, that he passed. But again, I don't know. It's a funny situation. I think I hear what you're saying, though, too.
It is a very funny situation.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying there as well.
Yeah. Yes, sir. What do we got?
What do we got? Here, go
We're
ahead.
on 23rd pick. It's the New England Patriots.
All right.
They have selected Isaiah Wynn. Offensive tackle from Georgia. This pick, this is what I'm going to say about this pick. This pick should have been made by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Don't be rude.
Instead of taking Billy Price, I'm not being rude. I'm just telling them what they should have done. Instead of taking that center and Billy Price for Ohio State, they should have took Isaiah Wynn from Georgia. Definitely would have helped out with this offensive line of theirs. But the Patriots end up getting him. Isaiah Wynn, a lot of people saw him as creeping into the lower first round, maybe even rising up into the mid-tier if a team absolutely loved him. But the Patriots loved him, and he ended up sliding to them. And Isaiah Wynn, I'll say this. If, for God's sakes, he could stay healthy, I think he has a chance to be like a Pro Bowl type of tackle. But the reality is the guy has hardly played a full season at all. He's missed way too much time to be effective and hasn't been there for the Patriots. So that being said, as John Turner would say, I will say is Isaiah Wynn is a fail for me because he's just not there.
Is often disappointing.
Yeah, I agree with you as well, too. Because you look at him and you see what he can do, but again, if he's not there,
great
it
talent,
doesn't really
but
really
isn't on the football field.
Absolutely, I agree.
Shout out to Gene. Gene is watching.
Mean Gene out there in the house with us tonight. I love it.
Welcome to the show.
Okay, and all right, so then we're moving on here. We're at 24 here, Joe. We're almost at the end of this whole thing. I hope you guys are enjoying this here. Anything you guys have, we are looking at the 2018 pass or fail here for the first round, looking at what everybody drafted. do you have an issue with the team that you follow, who they drafted that year, that you still have a big question mark about?
Or do you have a difference of opinion of what your team should have selected? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, absolutely. And all right, so moving on to that, we're at the Carolina Panthers. Sitting there was still DJ Moore, again, it was either Calvin Ridley or maybe DJ Moore that we thought the Cowboys were going to grab. They go and get Leighton Vander Esch here, so those guys were still falling that far.
Right.
And then for the Carolina Panthers to go and get DJ Moore, people were like, wow, this is a steal. You know what I mean? This is great. It was like Walmart, watch out for falling prices everywhere. People were just cashing in all day long. And so, again, Carolina Panthers grab him. He plays well for them there, and it's a great pick. You know, I like what they did there, too. And Carolina now, with Sam Darnold, he's got options over there. Could look pretty nice.
Absolutely. I mean, 24th pick. Both receivers, nobody really was absolutely sure where they were going to go. A lot of people expected the Cowboys to take one of these receivers, either DJ Moore or Calvin Ridley, and they just kept dropping. After the Cowboys took Leighton Vander Esch, everybody's like, well, where are the receivers going to go now? Because it's like it wasn't projected to go by them without taking one of these guys. So here we go. First receiver gets taken at 24 by the Carolina Panthers. They take DJ Moore, who has absolutely excelled for this football team ever since he's been there, and we only see him tracking upward. He's an ascending player, amazing, and now with Sam Darnold there, he's got himself another good old buddy there in the receiving corps. So DJ Moore for me, definitely an easy pass. It's not even that hard.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now moving on to the Baltimore Ravens. Again, they love to grab their tight ends here, and they go and get Hayden Hurst there, too. Again, I think it was another steal going this far back here out of South Carolina. The Viking, for them, the old Norsemen, they're playing here for the Ravens here. And I like the pick as well for them, what they're doing here. They definitely needed somebody like that for what they're doing.
For Hayden Hurst to be taken 25th overall from South Carolina, I thought this was a reach. I thought that they could have taken gone a different way. Maybe now that you get closer to the bottom of the first round, then you can kind of you still look for that best available player, but at the same time, when you're a team that doesn't have a lot of needs, you could go for more of whatever floats your boat type of pick. So for Hayden Hurst to get picked there at 25, yeah, he was an ascending tight end coming into this draft, but for me, I didn't think he was worthy of a first-round grade. So I thought the Ravens reached a little bit here. They were enamored more with the athletic ability of him instead of anything else. So for me, it's a failure.
He chose poorly.
All right, and now moving on to the Atlanta Falcons. They love their wide receivers. They go and get Calvin Ridley right there. So it just looked really nasty for them, too, because you've got
another
Matty
Alabama
Ice there.
product.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so you've got Julio Jones here. You've got Calvin Ridley. Like, this is going to look nice, and what they're doing. And he's smoothing in there and fitting in nicely as well to where now Julio, I think, is on the tail end of his career and ticking down slowly here, especially because of injury. And Calvin Ridley's making a nice little name for himself there, too, with Atlanta. I like the fact that they grabbed him, and I like the player again, too. But I think oftentimes here with the Atlanta Falcons, I think they go for weapons and toys so much without handling a lot of the deep-down problems that they have with this team, and they don't really try and fix that situation. So that's why they're kind of stuck in the limbo that they are. So it's tough for me again, and how do I judge it? I like Calvin Ridley and what happened, and they're able to make it far. But since then, not so much. So I think I might just call it a fail, I guess.
Okay.
It's tough because I like where you're going with that. I like it. I like Calvin Ridley. I think it looks good. So it's a great pick, but just the Falcons, I don't know. I don't think they should have they needed to build from the nucleus. That's where just my
Let's be honest now. Did anybody expect Ridley to drop to 26?
No.
The Falcons didn't either.
No.
They were probably more prepared to take someone else at that pick. And when they saw Calvin Ridley slide to them, one of the top two receivers in that draft, they could not pass it up. When we talk about taking best available,
Yeah.
this is one of those hard things where you just can't imagine it happening. Really ends up falling all the way to 26. It's too good. And to pair him up with Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, a younger Matt Ryan, I'll say, it was too good to be true. So they end up making the selection. I don't say anything negative about the Falcons for doing this. I thought this was a home run for them. And you can see how it's going to play huge dividends for them upcoming these upcoming years.
Because
they Julio is at the tail end of his career. Now they have their next stud to fill right in when he goes. I mean, he's already making a name for himself as it is. So they already have that go-to guy already there. So for me, it's easily a pass.
There you go. Have chosen wisely.
Okay, yes, sir. Seattle Seahawks. We're getting to the end. Running back Rashad Penny. I'm just going to say it's a fail right now. So there you go. There you fail.
I like your evaluation.
Yeah, there you go. I don't need to evaluate that. I mean, look where they are now with it. I mean, Rashad Penny. And this is the thing, though, to Seattle. Just to say real quick about it, they got rid of a lot of their picks. You know what I mean? They really didn't have a lot. So the one thing they needed to bank on was their first-round pick.
Yes, their pick.
And you pick running back again.
Too much of a risk.
What the hell are you doing when there's other people out there, again, to help build your team and solidify the things that you needed, and you go Rashad Penny running back? What the hell are you doing? And that's what I just thought when I saw this pick. It's a fail.
I mean, I know one of the needs at that time was definitely a running back, but
you also had Nick Chubb out there, though, too.
I don't think but we know that now. I'm still kind of basing this off of...
Yeah, I hear what we were thinking then. But,
I mean...
I don't know. I did not like it when I heard it.
I didn't like it either, but hey, we're not Seattle.
That's right. Yeah,
so Seattle Seahawks go ahead and make Rashad Penny. I thought this was a reach for Rashad Penny. I thought that he didn't deserve to be even in the bottom of the first round. I thought maybe bottom of the second round, to be honest. But they fell in love with him for some reason, and they took him there. So, yeah, it's definitely got to be a fail. I mean,
you're ugly. You're disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
And I think that's what they told him after they drafted him.
Perhaps. Yeah. Maybe that's what I should just say to the Seattle Seahawks. I'm like, listen, you guys just did this, so you should just pay me. All right? Yeah. For your mistake.
I'm going to kill you.
Okay. Yeah,
Give me $200.
I mean, it's a little too aggressive. All right. The Pittsburgh Steelers here. Terrell Edmonds, safety for them.
Yeah.
I like what the pick was there too for the Steelers too. I like Terrell Edmonds there again. One of the Edmonds brothers making in the first round again.
Right.
And I think he's played well for them too. I like the pick here for the Pittsburgh Steelers here.
Yeah, at the time, I'll say this: I didn't like the pick. I thought that they could have gotten him maybe in the second round, but lo and behold, they found a guy that they absolutely loved, and they took him when they, right at the tail end of the first round. You can't really blame them. So Terrell Edmonds has definitely panned out for this team. He fits their scheme to a T. And that's one of the hardest things for some of these teams is picking guys that will actually fit your organization instead of saying, we're going to take him because we like his talent and we're going to mold him into what we want. It doesn't really work that way. So, Edmonds, good job, Steelers. You get yourself a steal there for you. It's a pass.
Really nice.
Yes, really nice. Okay, here we go. And now getting to the tail end, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The D tackle Taven Bryan here, and one thing we do know that Jacksonville always goes for a defensive player here in the first round. Again, what do you think so far here with the Jacksonville Jaguars on this move here, Joe? Let's have you go first. On this
Taven Bryan. He was kind of like a late ascending type of player coming up into this draft, and a lot of people did believe that he was going to creep into the bottom of the first round, and I wasn't all in on this guy. I thought there was too much. He was too much of a project for me, and I thought like, okay, well, if any of these teams are going to take a project type of guy that has a high ceiling, it'll be one of these lower teams. And the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of, they took the risk. They rolled it out. It didn't really work out. I mean, he never really became a starter. I mean, when he his whole rookie year, I don't think he started one game. So, I mean, that's got to be a little bit telling. So, a lot of work had to be done. Didn't really get there, worthy of a first-round pick. So, for me, it's definitely got to be a fail.
Uh-oh, retard alert.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, the thing is a lot of people, if they didn't pay attention here to what or they don't remember what was going on during this whole thing, you see why Jacksonville's picking here. year prior, they made it to that AFC Championship game against the Patriots, which they should have won.
Blake Bortles.
And they were with Blake Bortles. After that run, they doubled down and re-signed Blake Bortles to another deal, kept him, decided they weren't going to go for another quarterback or anything like that in this draft or move up to try and make moves, but instead try and grab another defensive player to help get them over the spot. But again, they still needed, I think, wide receiver help. There's question marks on Blake Bortles. If he was able to get them over the hump to where they needed to, they went all in on it, and now they are suffering poorly for this one. And that's why I would say in turn 2, it is a fail.
Damn you, Doug Marrone.
Yeah, Doug Marrone. Yeah, all those guys, they ruined this whole thing. They did. You know what I mean? Between the mishandling of the quarterbacks altogether. I mean, at times you had one guy start one week, then another guy, and then I'm going back to
that
him.
was terrible. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't
This
do
ain't
that.
college, guys.
So,
come on.
I mean, that's why you're looking at them picking here, and when they go defensive tackle, you're kind of like, man, they could have maybe made some moves or did something here, and they went and bought all in on Blake Bortles.
If that was going to be
now
your
they
pick,
are where they are now.
That was going to be your pick, and you're taking a project type of player. Why not try to trade out of that? Trade out of the first round. Just trade out.
Yep.
Don't take such a big risk.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway.
All right, anyways, now it's moved to the Minnesota Vikings, and they get cornerback Mike Hughes out of UCF.
Speaking of risks.
Yes. Absolutely.
The Vikings at 30. They take Mike Hughes from Central Florida, cornerback. Didn't play his rookie year. You know, it was kind of like they had. I believe they still had Antoine Winfield,
I think
senior
there.
I'm
pretty sure they did.
Was still playing corner, so he had to like sit behind him and kind of learn the ropes. But then got his chance last year to be the starter, and it didn't work out very well. It failed. So for this pick in the first round, sorry, Mike, it's just not going to work out.
I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
And that time is now.
Yeah, that time is now. All right, here now. Yeah, that's right. Now, New England Patriots, they go and grab running back Sony Michel. And again, this was kind of like a later kind of steal, like I think in a sense. I don't know, because he had the knee injuries.
He had the
too.
knee injury, so he was going to slide low.
Happen.
He was going to be low.
Yeah. So you weren't sure what was going to happen with him. A
lot of people thought second round easy. He was going to make. Somebody would have took a risk on him, but he had those bad knees coming out of college. People were concerned. And he was coming off of a knee injury before the draft, so nobody was really sure like what they were getting.
Absolutely, and it ended up working out for them, for a season or two.
For a little bit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he did well for them, but again, with the Patriots, it's tough to tell because is it the system? Is it how they do it? Because we've seen Rex Burkhead work out for them.
He's a good
at
back.
times.
He's a good
back. And some of these other guys, you know what I mean, that they've had come in and out of there. James White, just plug and play. Shane Vereen at times, you know what I mean? Everyone. Deion Lewis, name it. So, I mean, they just got a way to make it work here with the running back situation here. So, overall, man, I don't know if I can give it a pass or a fail.
You got to give it something, buddy.
Man, I'm just going to say fail then.
There you go.
Because
that's pretty much where I was going.
It could have been anybody, yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. Inconsistency of being on the football field has knee issues, and it was just a matter of how long he could last. And the the time that he did last for the Patriots, he played really, really well. He was definitely their starter when he was healthy. So Michel did his job, but I'm sorry, because of all the injuries and everything and the short career, I'm going to say, because I don't see him lasting much longer. It's a fail for me.
Yep. All right, and then finally
the final pick.
Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens snuck back into the first round, I think, with this one, right? Was it? Yeah, they jumped in and got this one, and they
by trading.
By trading up, and they got in the last second and grabbed to finish up the night Lamar Jackson. So he did not make it to the second round. He was there, picked final here, and now we see what we have here with Lamar Jackson. I mean, and there's still even some question marks at times because you have seen the accuracy issues here and there and missed some guys that were open. But it seems like he's progressing.
Especially when he's kind of like he's forced to stay in the pocket and make the throw.
Right.
That's usually when he gets a little frazzled and inconsistent with his decision-making and throws. So, if you can bottle him up, which is, I'm sorry, it's really hard to do. But if you can get in his head a little bit, maybe confuse him on defense. Wow. But all in all, phenomenal athlete. No, don't get me wrong, has definitely improved heavily with his passing game. When you look at his rookie year, yes, he was taking off and running a lot, and that's what he was comfortable with. So that's what was working, and they didn't really fight it. The second year, you saw a tremendous jump all of a sudden. He really worked very hard to become a better quarterback, along with that mobility, and it really paid off big time for the Baltimore Ravens. Their offensive guru there, their old coordinator, I can't think of his name right now, but he played a massive part in Lamar's, not only his development as a quarterback, but also evolving and changing the offense that he already had planned out. He made it more Lamar friendly, if you will. And as after the second season going into the third season, he's like the guru of Lamar. He's figured out how to utilize him, what works best for him, what doesn't, and this offense is extremely hard to deal with because you don't know where the ball's going half the time. There's so many options that he could either hand it off, he could take it himself, he could fake it and then throw it over your head. With this pick as the bottom of the first round, you get your franchise quarterback in Lamar Jackson. It's a huge win-win. That's a pass all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I like it too as well. Again, I was trying to find, again, for the Giants, I was hoping they went maybe on this just to see what they got traded back, get the same type of thing with where we could get a running back, but then quarterback. And I like that he was elusive because at the time we had a terrible offensive line. So what's a little better to help out your offensive line, a guy who can scramble out of the pocket and make some plays.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it Pat Shurmur then with the Giants 3 years ago?
Was it?
I think he was there for 3 years, right?
Yeah, no, he was only there for a year. I think it was McAdoo still.
Was it Ben?
McAdoo? I think it might have been McAdoo still.
At his final year?
Maybe that was Shurmur. Maybe that was Shurmur's first year.
Yeah, I think
that was Shurmur's first year. It was. They had just fired McAdoo.
I'm just going to tell you.
Yes, this was.
Shurmur would have ruined Lamar.
Yeah,
so
that probably would have. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, now you see what he's doing,
right?
And I think that one. He's gonna say no, but the one poopy game where he left the game and went poopy, and then came back into the game.
Oh my God!
After their quarterback went down again, and looked like all else was. And you're hearing now. I think they were gonna. He said I think John Harbaugh just came out and said that they were actually gonna put their wide receiver in at quarterback if Lamar couldn't come back, but he comes back out there and throws a deep bomb, right there to get them back in that game, and they win that game out of nowhere. That was epic for his legacy, and then to show that he can make those plays happen.
And it's all – who was it, Cleveland that was facing them in that game?
I think so.
I think so. So I want to say this. They had Browns had an opportunity to shut that down before Lamar even got back.
Yep.
It was fourth down, I think, with Trace McSorley. And they ended up getting the first down. Now, if they stop them from getting that first down, they're punting, or no, it's a turnover on downs, and then it's pretty much game over. So, Browns, you fucked up.
Yep, exactly. Exactly, they did. So, there you go. That's it. That's the whole first round, Joe. We did it.
That's it.
We finished it off. I don't know if that took like an hour or so, almost 2 hours itself just on that. But
I don't know what it took.
We really appreciate you guys joining us with us. We're on our fourth season, right? Fifth season. A lot of stuff to come up this season.
Fifth season
a lot
happens
of stuff.
When we hit the season, the
NFL season starts. So yeah, we're a lot of stuff to looking forward to. A lot of changes. Even things are going to be going down. We're going to do some giveaways probably too.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. Make sure you guys go to YouTube if you haven't yet. All of our Facebook followers, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to build up YouTube a little bit there too as well. Hit the notification bell. And join our group, Football on the No Show, if you haven't yet. If you like the page, go ahead and join the group as well. There's a lot of stuff that we post on there, opinions and different stories, a lot of interesting stories. I just posted one today about the Buffalo Bills saying now you need to have your card vaccinated to enter the building.
And I feel like a lot of stadiums are going to be starting to do that. So that way they can go to the NFL Players Association, who right now they want everything to be virtual still. for this offseason. That's kind of like the debate. You're seeing a few teams, I think 4 or 5 teams today announced officially, or not teams, but players for those teams officially announced that they are not going to show up to voluntary OTAs, in their kind of like a boycott state. So that's something to monitor to see what happens with that. And the vaccine with the NFL, let's see what happens with that. I mean, I think every stadium is going to eventually have to do that in order to be completely open and have as many fans as they possibly can. So we'll see with that. But yeah, everybody, if you could like, share, do whatever you can on YouTube. Become a subscriber, a know-it-all on there. That'd be much appreciated. If you get all your friends, family, and do it that love football, we would it really goes a long way. It helps with the algorithm for YouTube to kind of get us boosted up and get more known.
Yeah, absolutely. We really appreciate everything that everybody has done so far, and let's just keep it going. Let's go. That's it. That's it for our show again. That was our 2018 draft now, pass or fail. And next year's going to be interesting too. So we get to talk about all that. That'll be a lot of fun. All right. So thanks a lot for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.